Hey, this is Tim Pierce. This was originally going to be a video about how one idea replaces another. You get the better idea later. You start with one idea and then you surpass it. But it's actually going to be about keeping the first idea and the finished idea, the first inspired idea and the one that you finish after all this hard work. And in a sense, Floyd Rose has done the same thing because he kept his original bridge and has built now his ultimate guitar around it. So that's what this is about. Click the link below if you want to check out the online masterclass.
This is the actual first speed guide or speed plate on this Kramer guitar that I designed. And that was 1986. In the Kramer days, the president of Kramer, Dennis Berardi, and I went to Sam Ash Music in New York to see this Ash Brothers. And when you walk in the window, had all these wild guitars. One was a machine gun and all kinds of weird looking shapes. And we're walking out. He said, "Well, I don't think our guitars are going to make it in the window." I said, "I can design a guitar that'll make that window." And that's the Enterprise, it's called. This actually was connected here, but it broke off in shipment. So.
Oh, it had the arm, like the stabilizer for the neck.
Yeah, it went all the way up.
Yeah, when I first moved to LA, the Floyd Rose was brand new. And when I got my first Floyd Rose, it was a month-long process because they were hard to get. And when I got it, it had to be installed correctly. You had to drill the holes in the back of the neck. And I was just amazed. You know, you had to do these tweaks because there were no fine tuners. So when you tightened the nut, you had to make adjustments because the strings would always go sharp. And you learned how to do it really quickly. You would flatten the strings, get that detuning just right, and then you would tighten down the nut, and it would be perfect. Fast forward to 2021, and Floyd has spent the last 40 years improving this invention. Not only that, because he knows so many great guitar players, all their collaborations and feedback has gone into his guitar along with his personal tastes, and we benefit from that.
Everybody always wants the lightest wood possible, thinking that's the best sounding. And our experience has been, because we record all the weights of everybody that we do, and we keep records of it so that we know which one weighed how much. And then when we play them, we go, "Oh, well, this one just has a little special tone." Everybody's different, they all sound slightly different. All guitars do because of the wood. In fact, everything else is identical on them except the wood. So either a maple fretboard, rosewood, rich light, that has some effect on it. But the biggest effect comes from the wood in the body. And what it is, what gives it the lighter, like you can see on this one, if I get real close, see how tight the grain is?
Yes.
This is, the tighter the grain, the heavier the body, the more, less space. Yours is more space because we got the lightest one we could find.
Yay!
Now I'm going to demonstrate some of the features of this guitar. Tom Anderson, Paul Reed Smith, and Floyd Rose are all friends of mine. There are no fees or endorsements. There's no affiliate link where I get to share the profits, nothing like that. You guys support me through the masterclass, so it makes it really easy for me. It's a privilege for me to know them, to be able to use the stuff they make. So here's the speed plate. You can see the raised area, and it really makes me able to pick faster and more consistently and probably a little more evenly. Probably softens up my picking too. But then it's got the traditional area where I can pick the way I always have, and I like that too because it's a different sound and a different attitude, a different intention. I always use the neck pickup when I'm soloing on a Strat. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, those sounds, that's where I want to be. But sometimes I use the humbucker too. This has a kind of unique setup in that there's a detent knob. So when you set it in the middle position, you can actually blend whatever amount of either pickup to taste that you want. Let's say you want 3/4 humbucker, 1/4 neck, you go there, vice versa over here. And practically what that means is The thing you like about this, which is the openness and the scooped aspect of it, maybe you'd like to blend in a little healthy mid-range at the same time. You can do that with this and just blend in a little of the humbucker while still retaining the outer edges of the neck pickup. The tone knob darkens very gradually, so it doesn't get muddy. You can just actually kind of crank off a little high end, and it still sounds like the basic tone that you just had. I like the back because it's like getting under the hood. This wrench acts as a screw. It creates a backstop for the bridge, so when you bend and pull double stops, it doesn't go out of tune, it just stays flat. And you can access this with the backplate on. This wrench is for adjusting the neck. I like the action really low, and so when I lowered it, cranked this thing a little bit, took out all the fret buzz. Lastly, the neck shape changes as you go up the neck so that your hand fits up here. So we start with a C shape, gradually goes to a D shape, so it's easy to grab stuff way up here. Floyd told me something really hilarious. I guess there are people who say that it's cheating to use the speed plate, and I would say, well, then when I fly home to my hometown in Albuquerque, and it takes 2 hours, I'm cheating by not driving 13 hours. So here's the first idea, and most of this idea morphs into something totally different, and that's kind of the beauty of it, but I want to show you the first idea. I love playing in Lydian on this guitar because I kind of massage the bar, and I just love that tritone. So I start out with an F Lydian kind of chord, F flat 5 chord. Let me turn the distortion off. And then I go to E minor. Next I try E flat to B flat because I want to change keys. If you're playing bebop jazz, then in my case, I can't think fast enough to make key changes because the changes are going by so fast. But in a situation like this where it's sitting on a chord for 4 or 8 beats, I can prepare for it and it just becomes an interesting turn, like E minor. I can prepare. I know it's coming. I can, it's slow enough to where I can make it happen. It just becomes a nice turn. Then I go from C to G. And it's a way to turn around back into F. You always have to, if you're making a chord cycle, you always have to figure out how to go back to where you started. And in this case, C to G. Then I drop down. Rubbing the bar. So that's how the idea starts. Now I'm going to show you the second and finished idea and reverse engineer it to show you how I got there. Now remember, I thought this idea would completely surpass and replace the first idea. But when I listened, I liked the first one also. When I played over it, I liked them both also. So what happened was the first idea became the first half. The second idea became the second half. So now the track is done. Let's see what stayed the same and what has changed. I thought that would work and it did. I did a low D under the F and I really liked the way it turned out. It even sounds good going up high. It's kind of like Spy or something. Kind of like Secret Agent, maybe.
Looks like you're out to get me.
I don't know. Then I finally gave up the E minor. It was just too dark, and I switched to an A minor. Still dark, but it's the right kind of dark. It's more of a classic rock kind of dark. Supplies more of that While My Guitar Gently Weeps vibe, and it also allows me just to play classic minor pentatonic. Then the next thing stays the same. I keep the C to G. So C and G allow me to be kind of a southern rocker, maybe for a second. And then I do polychords, and perhaps that allows me to be sort of a fusion player for a second. So a polychord to me is just an ordinary chord with a different bass note. And what I've got here is F over B flat. And there's F, and here's B flat. I just love these. And then C over F. Come up here, G over C. And then D over G. So it's really the same shape, just moved around. And it's a classic chord change.
right? So you can kind of play to that, but the bass notes make it really interesting. And then back to the beginning again. And the cycle continues. If somebody wants one of these guitars, basically they can go to your website and just follow the trail, right?
Yes, basically, yeah. They can pre-order one. They don't last very long. We're not able to make a lot of them right now because of COVID and all that. After playing this guitar a while, you pick up another guitar and you're more cognizant of your depth of your pick.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it did for me. I can now pick up another guitar and go, oh yeah, I gotta make sure I'm not picking too deep. It's probably really good for beginner guitar players. It's actually the best, but we got to get a low end version for that to happen because people can't afford these. But I was really surprised that the guys that didn't need it still loved it.
Well, that's a good point, that you can pick up your Les Paul after this or any guitar that's traditional. And because of your time spent on this thing, you're actually going to have a better technique and you'll play faster on every guitar.
Yeah,
That's a really great point. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. If you are a subscriber, please ring the bell. It lets us let you know every time a new video is released. You can also support us by clicking the link below for the online masterclass. As I always say, we're up to over 100 hours of lessons and content, over 1,000 videos. There's a 14-day free trial. Take your time, take a long look. We'd love to have you join us.